Imam al-Ghazali says that the stomach is the root of all desire. Gluttony is the start of the dominoes. It starts with gluttony. Next thing you know, you're sleeping with someone you're not supposed to be. You didn't make the link, but he made the link a long time ago. It's that ability for you to just give in to your hungers. There are other hungers, not just the hunger for a particular type of dessert or a smash burger or whatever else is trending, right? And so if you get used to giving in and indulging, there's other indulgences too. It just takes 1 week moment. All these food brands and all these kind of like advertisements, someone's grabbing this cheesy pizza while you're trying to, and everywhere you go, it's just like screaming out at you, eat me, right? Different brands, different types, different food trends, milk cakes, then smash burgers, then acai, ice cream.
Dubai chocolate.
Oh, Dubai chocolate, for Allah's sake. And I realize I watch my children, I see how their proclivity to catch on to a trend. And I have to point out to them, guys, this is carbon monoxide. What's wrong with mum's food? Mum's food, what happened to mum? What happened? So there's simplicity. How do we return to simplicity? Because the prophetic culture around food was simplicity. He wouldn't demand it. If it was served, he would eat what was in front of him. He would eat from what was nearest, and that's it. Like, it was not a thing. It was not a deal, such a deal to be made, right? Like, you kind of like now see fine dining, MasterChef, and the kind of exotic, like, stuff's smoke's evaporating from the things, like 11-hour experience to eat a meal. You think, what on earth has happened to human beings? And so food, at least for Muslims, because it's halal, right? It's our halal entertainment. So oftentimes it's like, I can't drink, I can't do X, Y, Z, let's go for a bite, right? The prophetic practices, it's not about seeking the most amazing food experience. It's about eating what's nearest, what's simplest. And even in the simplicity of a loaf of bread or a piece of meat or a date, remembering the blessings of Allah and realizing it's not the experience that will satiate you, but it is the remembrance of Allah before and after and during, and the realization that it is the blessing in the dish that will satiate you. Famous story and a report that we know of is that the Prophet, peace be upon him, one day leaves his house hungry, and he finds Abu Huraira also hungry. And Abu Huraira, because he was under the poverty line, he would often be waiting for somebody to invite him for food. So he follows the Prophet, peace be upon him. Somebody invites the Prophet, peace be upon him, for food. And all this man really has is a glass of milk. The glass of milk goes around dozens and dozens of companions, and it still seems to be full. Another experience, the Prophet, peace be upon him, is digging in the trench. His companions come to complain to him of hunger. He lifts his shirt and he has 2 boulders tied to his stomach out of hunger. They all go to somebody's house, and somehow these 20, 30 people are able to eat from a dish. You try it sometime. Often these days, like, the food for one person is actually sufficient for 3 people. So one of the things I do at home is that I don't serve my wife and children, I don't serve them food in multiple plates. We have one big plate, whatever it is, we all eat together. Every meal. Whether it's lasagna or whether it's rice or whatever it is, we're all going to eat from one plate. And oftentimes, as children do, they'll ask, but Dad, I want that, I want this, could I have that? And I have to then field the request very cautiously, not to make them feel that I'm saying no, but at the same time, trying to field the request and still signal to them, like, I know you want all these other things that the adverts and your friends at school, other people are selling to you, but this one simple piece of pasta in your plate, that there's barakah in it, there's blessing in it, it was made at home, it was made with love and care. Trust me, it's got a lot less additives than what's out there. I have to sell them the barakah. I have to picture them the barakah, because the default is that everything in the macro environment is screaming to them the opposite. And so the Prophet, peace be upon him, teaches his companions this. One of his companions asks him, how come we eat but we don't feel full? I think many people can relate to this. You're eating 3, 4, 5 meals a day, you're not feeling full. In Ramadan, you eat 1 meal a day, you feel overfull. So he says, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَفْتَرِقُونَ, are you eating apart? Eat together. So it's, I think we have to, the greatest experience is the remembrance of Allah. And even a single grain of rice can be an experience if eaten with that in mind. You don't need the carbon, whatever, smoke and all the special jus and whatever else is going on you don't need that stuff. The fact that you need that stuff points to a gap. Why do you need all of that fanfare to eat food? What went wrong? And so simplicity, we have to return to simplicity in food. We have to return to food as a form of divine remembrance. There's the entire surah of the Quran called Al-An'am, after cattle. And good chunk of that surah is reminding us, hey, when you eat, I want you to realize, do you know what work's gone into the food on your plate? The cows, the goat, the sheep, the vegetables. Have you seen them grow out of the earth? Have you not looked at the sky above you? Have you not seen the rain come down? And so one of the key prophetic practices in order to appreciate food, the simplicity of food, is to appreciate what went into food by looking at nature, by spending time with animals. Do you think the Prophet, peace upon him, would send like an online payment to another country to do a sacrifice on Eid? No. He would go, pick the goat, spend time with the goat. Like, something I personally try to do is not possible for everybody, but spend 2 weeks with the goat and then see how the slaughter feels. Right? You don't have to ship that part of the video, but the raw connection with nature, with animals, with plants is so key to realize that one bean on my plate, what work went into it from the divine for it to land here. And a significant chunk of the Quran, of the divine revelation, is trying to scream that at you. There's a surah about the bees. Why? To tell you, do you know what happened? How honey got to you? A surah about cattle. Why? Do you understand what it took for this piece of lamb to be on your plate? And so eating it, cognizant of the process it took to get there and all the divine interventions it took to get there, that's the experience. That is the experience. You don't need the 3-course and all that nonsense and all the special fancy fanfare. The experience is in realizing the subtlety of the Lord's attributes and the beauty of His design that had to be done for you to enjoy one morsel. And therein lies the essence of the Prophet, peace be upon him's relationship with food. One of the small things in the household, when he entered the house, he would never be demanding of food. Aisha, is there food? Nope, I'm fasting today. Right? So he wouldn't be, as a husband, he wouldn't be demanding on his wife to cook specific dishes, to ask for specific dishes. That's not something he would do. There's no food, I'm fasting today. If there was food, if a lamb was slaughtered, he would say, what's left of the lamb? She'd say, I left the shoulder for you. He said, no. What's left is the rest of the lamb, because what we sacrifice is our true asset. What we consume is consumed, it's gone. What you gave away, that's the true asset. So even teaching that, even when you make food, make double for your neighbor to give away. This idea of even when you do cook, when you do spend time with food, see how you can share it and treat food like a social lubricant. Just like a lubricant greases the engine, the sharing of food keeps people together, brings people together. That's what I used to term chai. I always used to say chai is the social lubricant. It lubricates relationships, it keeps them all glued together. So that's really, these are some of the functions that food played in the Prophet's life, but starting and ending with the remembrance of God, remembering the process it took to get there, realizing that the poor and needy have a share in that food, and eating together rather than eating apart, and not watching other people's stories about what they're eating. Let them eat. If they're going to some fancy restaurant, why do you have to expose yourself to that? The Prophet, peace be upon him, says, look at those who have less than you so you can appreciate your blessings. But on your feed, if your feed is filled with people, with foodies, showing off the stuff that you're not able to have on a daily basis, you'll never appreciate what's in front of you.
The Prophetic Path, all rights reserved. Copyright note. This video features unique editing, subtitles, and creative production by The Prophetic Path. While the original audio belongs to the respective speakers, the final edited version is our intellectual property. Reuse warning. Unauthorized re-uploading, downloading, or redistributing this video on any platform, YouTube, Facebook, etc., is strictly prohibited and may lead to a copyright strike. We encourage you to share the original video link to spread the message of Islam. Final message. Our content is designed for dawah and education under fair use guidelines. Let us respect the effort of creators and the wisdom of our scholars. If you enjoyed this reminder, please subscribe and share the original link. Re-uploading our edited content is not permitted.